Greetings, y'all. Peace. We are here today to review the 42 divine principles of Ma'at. I'm going to share in my galactic timekeeping group. Hello. So, if this is something that you wish to study or look into, then you found the right live. My name is Veronica Marie, and I'm here to help you live a healthier and a happier life. And we're going to do that by going over these divine principles. I have a group right now where we are purifying our speech. The idea is through the Kemetic study that when we purify our inside world, then our speech purifies and our manifestations purify and our experiences purify. You know, we upgrade our homes, we upgrade our phones, we upgrade all kinds of things. But what about upgrading your experience? What about upgrading your inner world? What about upgrading your experience? Oops, I turned my own live on. So that's what I'm looking at today. And you are welcome to join me. So when we look at who is Ma'at, that's important. Hey, babe. We are on the topic of purify your inner world, to purify your thoughts, purify your speech, purify your experience. And as I was saying just a minute ago, we upgrade phones and update software. We upgrade cars, we upgrade our homes, but greetings, Shay Shay. Good day. Beautiful creation, y'all. Guten Morgen. Was machst du? So we upgrade all kinds of things, but it's time to upgrade your inner world, don't you think? Let me know. It's time to upgrade your speech. It's time to upgrade the way that you see things. Therefore, you will experience more health, more happiness, more sense of wellness, more deeply connectedness to self and the divine and others. Because when you are vibrating on a lower vibration, then you are increasing the distance between your experience of now and your experience of love. And if you desire to experience love, then you're going to have to shift your vibration. I made a post today that talked about timeline shifts. And, you know, there are many ways to shift a timeline, but one sure way that everyone can access is shifting the way that you see the world through your belief systems. It's what you believe that generates what you think. And by thinking thoughts, you begin to experience them through your emotions. And then you act, and then you react. And so if you are highly reactive and wanting to come out of that, one thing that you can do is shift your timeline by shifting your inner world. When you make different decisions based upon seeing differently, you set off a brand new course of action. I'm going to say that again. Each time you make a new decision from a new framework, from a new way of seeing, then you alter the course of your reality. You could stay in your same patterns, the same thoughts, the same words, the same reactions, and stay on the same timeline. But I know that there's some people who want to elevate. There are some people who want to experience something else. There's so much more to life than where we've been, yet we spend most of our time either A, looking back, or B, thinking the 90% of the same thoughts that we've been thinking for weeks and months and years. So the path that I've been led to be on is to guide others into the timeline shifts that bring them into the experiences they desire. This life is about evolution. It's about growing forward. But again, if we keep looking back and not allowing the looking back to propel us forward, if we keep dwelling in realms of lack and dimensions of lack and brokenness, then it's impossible to vibrate on a frequency above courage. And when we can't get above courage, then we lock ourselves into a lower dimension. Okay, so every time you make a decision to see differently, to think differently, to shift the way that you perceive your seer. Every time you shift your who, right? I'm not just talking about your who, your words. I'm talking about your perceptions. Your perceptions must shift also for you to make decisions. And you make it over and over and over again until you are experiencing the next iteration of yourself, which is not on this timeline. On this timeline, you think like this, you talk like this, you react like this, and you have to keep doing that because you cannot rise above the current self without making different choices for your beliefs. And that means you need to assess your belief systems. Do they need an update? If you've been believing a certain thing about cats, about dogs, about the sky, about the seasons, if you've been thinking a particular way about your body or about a particular person or people, it is time to shift, to upgrade, so that you can have a different experience in the world with these people, things, and situations. But most people are not thinking that deeply about life. They just want to say what they always have said. They want to react the ways that they always have reacted. And they will get very bothered and upset if someone challenges that. But that's not the path that we're on here. Here, I'm here for individuals who really want to upgrade their experience in this earth school. They want to ascend. They don't want to just stay in kindergarten. Kindergarten is great, it's relevant and necessary. However, we can't stay in kindergarten forever. Wouldn't you agree? I'm going to pause right there and see, because I know I'm speaking truth. I just want to check for agreement and make sure that I'm talking to the right people. Wouldn't you agree? Kindergarten is necessary. First grade is necessary. Second grade is necessary. 12th grade is necessary, but some people want to go on to a higher education. That higher education may be a trade. That higher education may be a degree system. But it's time. It's time for the old to pass away. And how do you know it's time? Because you're listening to this and you're very curious about how. It's time because you are tired of your experiences. You're ready for something else. You've been saying, I know life has to get better. I know there's more to life than this. That's how you know it's time. It's not just time because I said it. It's time because you feel it and you sense it. Today is known as the equinox. It's the point in time where neither pole is closer to the sun. In other words, on this earth, we are experiencing a moment of balance. Plug into it. Plug into it. And in this balance, the tilt begins, right, into the next season. So as we're shifting into the next season, it would behoove you to settle into this teaching. Don't go into your next season with your same words, your same phrases, your same interpretations, your same aggravations and irritations. Don't go into this new season with the same perspectives. Someone is against me. Someone is after me. No one cares. Nobody is this. I'm all alone. I don't have. I never had. All of these statements, it's time to upgrade them. In my Divine Utterance group, we are working on those upgrades systematically through paying attention to our words, through teachings and such. Because at some point, you're going to have to stop looking into the past and uh, assessing that the past is the reason for the now. Because the reason for the now is that you need to upgrade. Yes, the past has brought us, hey Mello, the past has brought us on a certain trajectory. Yes, that's true. But now, since you know the trajectory that you've been on hasn't been for your well being, then you make the shift, and the shift starts now. So then there's no more looking back and saying, because this person said this, I feel that. Because this person did this, I do that. Because my family of origin is like this, I am that. That has been true up until now. But what are you choosing for yourself now? I like it too. What are you choosing for yourself now? What framework do you want to take on now? What timeline do you want to step into now? Some people say, well, the people around me, they low vibration, so I can't help. You can help it. Your decision is always there. However, if you don't see the decision, then you can't make it. So I'm saying, open your eyes and see that the past does matter. It's significant. I remember reading this phrase from a book, and I can't even remember where the book is now because it was years ago. But it said the past is important, but not as important as how you hold it. In other words, today, recognizing and acknowledging that the past has been a powerful force in your reality, but the reality of your empowered decisions now is what's going to affect your future. So you could choose to stay in the mindset of the disabling and disempowering past. Or you can say, yes, I have a past, and that past has taught me X, Y, and Z, and that is why I live my life intentionally. I didn't mean to rhyme, but I did. The past was X, Y, and Z. And this is what I saw in my past. And this is what I learned in my past. And now I make different decisions because of it. As opposed to, because my past was this, I don't have enough and I'm not enough. And because my past was this and that, I don't. Because my past was this and that, I have learned the importance of self-awareness. Because my past was this and that, I have learned the importance of boundaries. Because my past was this and that, I've learned the importance of understanding my own emotions and practicing my own levels of self-care and rising to the occasion so that I don't continue in these same circles and cycles with low vibration that does not enhance my experience. That is how we alchemize the past. But if the past keeps coming up over and over again, and you keep thinking about it the same way, what you're doing is just rewinding, taking a step forward and rewinding, and taking a step forward and rewinding. And sometimes you have to go through a few cycles of rewinding to realize that I'm not moving forward in the ways that feel like I want to feel. The next iteration of you is not looking in the past and settling in what the past has been. The next version of you is a very different frequency. And to step into that new timeline, you're going to have to revisit the way you live this life. You're going to have to revisit the way you react and respond. You're going to have to reassess the people you're around. And I'm not saying cut people off. Yes, some people do need to be cut off, because when their dysfunctional behavior continues over and over again, then you may have to, right? But sometimes it means creating balance by putting more high vibrational experience in your reality. Sometimes you need to get around some different people who have some different conversation. Sometimes you need to get around some people who are enlightened and inspired so that you can also share in that frequency. Sometimes you need to look at yourself differently, talk about yourself differently, think about yourself differently, think about other people differently. I am talking to people who are interested in this. If you want to remain in the same thoughts that you've been thinking, the same reactions and such, I'm not here for you. I'm here for people who want to ascend. And today, on this divine equinox occasion, we are choosing to come into more balance. So here's the question. If you've been following me for a while, you know I followed this cosmology, which is inspired by the Mayan cosmology called the Dream Spell Matrix. So in the Dream Spell Matrix, we are coming to the end of a 13-day cycle. So on this day of balance, I'm asking you to reflect over the last 13 days. What has stood out to you about yourself? What experiences have you been having that you want to shift? That's the first thing. Then we are coming to the end of a 65-day period called a season. Reflect over the last 2 months or so. What has stood out to you about yourself? What patterns would you like to shift? Where would you like to upgrade your thinking and speech? I said this yesterday. Some people are using the same speech patterns from last year, 3 years ago. Some people are really using their same reactivity and speech patterns from when they were 30 and 5 years ago and 10 years ago. And they're congregating with people who are doing the same thing. And that's their reality. And so when they come into contact with others who are speaking differently, they almost don't understand because the frequency is so different. You have some people speaking very plain English, but you can't understand it because your brain is not on that frequency because you submerged yourself in the vibration of what's around you for so long that you don't understand. You can't plug into another frequency. And some people can't understand your frequency because where you are, they don't understand. You're saying words that their brain can regurgitate, but actually applying and living it and assessing themselves, they cannot do it because it's literally a different frequency. They're just not there. So if you want to ascend in your frequency, you have to plug into higher vibration, higher frequency conversation, higher vibration, higher frequency mind frames and mindsets. We're on the equinox. Today we're at the equinox, the fall equinox. Right? And so you make a conscious decision that I want to step into a different timeline. I want to come into the first parts of the next iteration of me, which means some things you have to let pass away. There's a scripture that says, be no longer conformed to the ways of the world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And in doing so, old things pass away. You don't just keep thinking the same thing and saying the same thing and reacting the same way. It passes away, and behold, all things become new. That is what we're looking at today. And that is where we're going in the group that I have called Divine Utterance. Is some people who really aspire to step into the next iteration of themselves through purification of their inner world. If that's you, type yes. If it's you, also tap the screen. Okay. So I need you to tap the screen because I know what I'm giving is good and I want more people to be exposed to it. So that means that the For You page is going to suggest my live a lot more often. If you're showing, that is something interesting to listen to. So now on this equinox occasion, you came in just to tap. You didn't come in to take in the wisdom. Hey, Golden, what's up? So listen, let's read these 42 divine principles of Ma'at. So number one, what is Ma'at? Because I don't want to assume that everyone knows. Okay, good deal. Thank you for being here, Queen Tali. Ma'at, M-A-A-T, is the Kemetic energy, the concept of truth, justice, harmony, and cosmic order. This is for some people who want to be more balanced, who want to live by universal truth, who want to live by the concept of harmony and cosmic order. She personified the principles that maintains the balance of the universe against chaos and was symbolized by the ostrich feather. The principles of Ma'at influenced all aspects of Kemet and life, from the conduct of the pharaoh and the laws of the land to the judgment of the soul after death. Thank you so much for tapping the live. I appreciate that. I don't take for granted your energy. I don't take for granted your presence, your attention, the way that you lend your ear to the vibration of my voice and openness. Thank you, Mouse Mouse. I don't take it for granted because I'm here in service to you, right? So the fact that you're here is very important. We're looking at the key aspects of Ma'at, cosmic order. Ma'at was fundamental to the stability of the universe, regulating the stars, seasons, and natural forces. Justice and truth. The concept of Ma'at represented what was right, honest, true, guiding the conduct of individuals and rulings. The weighing of the heart. In the afterlife, the heart of a transitioned person was weighed against Ma'at's feather on a balance scale. A heart lighter or equal to the feather indicated a life lived justly and permitted the soul to enter the afterlife. A heavier heart meant the soul was not ascended. So listen, let's apply some of this today, okay? But let me read and get through these, and then we're going to add an application of becoming lighter. Who here doesn't want to become lighter? Is your heart heavy because of the way you contract and perceive and react? Who doesn't want to be lighter? Who doesn't want to have a lighter experience here? And who does, right? Who wants to have a lighter experience here in this realm, in this life? Of course, there's a lot of heaviness. Of course, there's a lot of things going on that we don't like. But on this day of the equinox, we're coming into balance. What about the lightness of this realm? What about the pleasure of it? What about the ascension of it? Right? Ma'at was depicted. Yes, I call forward a lighter experience. In fact, I am in a lighter experience now, just that we're sitting and talking about the newness of this. We have brought forward, right, a lighter experience. We have stepped onto the timeline of a lighter experience by considering the things that I'm talking about. Ma'at was depicted as a winged woman wearing the symbol of an ostrich. Yes, I'm feeling lighter now. Deep inhale and exhale. I am lighter now. The feather symmetry symbolized equality and balance. Pharaohs were expected to uphold Ma'at, as their ability to rule justly was seen as essential for the prosperity and stability of Kemet. You are the pharaoh, you are the leader, you are the ruler of your realm, of your experience. And you are expected, right? Because you want it. You are expected to be in a lighter experience of your own heart, of your own mind, of your own doings, okay? So let's look at the first one. I have not committed sin. Now, it's important not to take this word sin as the Christian version of it because Ma'at is more ancient than Christianity. So we're not going to take it into the context of it, right? But sin in the context of Kemetic spirituality, it refers to a transgression against the principles of Ma'at. This is not about an inherent human failing, or it's not about original sin. It's none of that. It's a transgression against these laws, okay? So I have not committed sin. I have not committed robbery with violence. I have not stolen. Let's talk about stealing, right? When we look at not only, hey, gift basket, when we look at not only Kemetic yoga, when we look at the Indian version of yoga, one of the principles to live by is I have not stolen, I have not taken what is not mine. How do you do that? You do that when you emotionally dump in someone's space without checking to see if they're ready. I have not overtalked a person, right? I have not taken a person's ideas and acted like they were mine. Hey there, happy day. Greetings, 64. We're on the equinox, in the equinox, talking about coming into that balance, coming into a lighter experience, a lighter iteration of ourselves, stepping across the timeline of lightness, purifying our inner world for lightness, purifying our speech for lightness. When even in a situation that may be chaotic, we can still hold ground. Coming away from a chaotic mindset. A chaotic mindset is reactive. Okay, so number one, I have not committed a transgression against these laws, right? Number two, I have not committed robbery with violence. Number three, I have not taken what is not mine. Have you tried to get someone's attention who didn't want to give it to you? Don't do that. We can apply this today, right? In yoga, one of the things that we do is when you come into the studio, you honor the space that other people are in. What that looks like is you don't just plop your mat down loudly when other people are in silence. You don't start fidgeting around on your phone and, looking at videos and such when the energy around is not reflecting that. You read the room. You don't come in destructively trying to take away people's belief systems and ideas simply because you don't believe them. This is, I have not stolen. I have not taken what wasn't mine. I have not slain men or women. I have not stolen food. I have not swindled offerings. You can apply that today. Just make this a spiritual practice. Ask yourself, what does this look like today? Maybe someone said that their offering was a certain price and you tried to get a lower price because you didn't want to spend it even though you had it. Now, if you had it, that's different, right? Or you didn't have it, rather. Listen, I have not stolen from God or goddess. Now, of course, there were temples and there were offerings to the deities, and some people may come in and take those. Well, we don't have that today. But we do have, again, what keeps coming to my mind is this idea of taking away people's belief system, snatching the rug from under them because we believe a certain thing, judging them. Right? You are God and goddess, and so am I. So you can ask yourself, what are some ways I may steal from God or goddess? Talking down, judging, sharing something very judgmental. I have not cursed God or goddess. I have not defiled the name of a god or goddess, spoken against, villainized a person. What y'all think? When you really see another person as divine and you villainize them, blame and accuse them, then that's the same as uttering a curse. Can you see that? I have not behaved with violence. I have not caused disruption of peace. A lot of people pride themselves on disturbing the peace. So let's talk about that. Being mindful and being spirit-led means you don't disrupt peace. But operating from your ego means you disrupt peace. Your ego feels offended. You want to rise up and do this and that. That's a disruption of peace. But if Spirit said, hey, drop this seed, and a person gets upset, that is not a disruption of peace. That is a disruption of their pattern and timeline. And only you know the difference. You know where you're coming from. Because sometimes we say, I had to tell them. But really, it was your ego that couldn't go without speaking up. Your ego couldn't go without honoring that a person believes something differently. You got to be able to weigh your own heart by these principles. Okay? I have not acted hastily or without thought. There you go. I have not acted hastily or without thought. Hey, Marlon, greetings. That goes along with the disruption of peace. When you're acting hastily, you feel offended, so you want to tell somebody something. And now you're struggling not to tell them it because you think they need to know hastily and without thought. I have not exaggerated my words when speaking. A lot of times when you're a storyteller, you have a tendency to exaggerate a person's response or a person's words. And you know when you're doing it. And you know when other people are doing it, because you have to stop and ask, did you say that? Did they really say that? What were their actual words? I have not stolen what belongs to a god or goddess. This resonates to where you are spiritually. Ashe. We are at this, what we call September 21st, which is an equinox, right? It's a state of balance where neither pole of the earth is facing the sun. It's equal in measure. And so we're weighing all of this and taking an opportunity to step into a new timeline. I have not stolen what belongs to God or goddess. Again, here we go, this concept. A person is in their reality, experiencing what they are experiencing, and you don't like it. So you want to snatch away whatever it is because you don't like it. That's not being led by spirit. That's being led by the ego. I have not overstepped my boundaries of concern. Look at that. Sometimes you become very concerned about what another person believes, thinks, or feels, and that is not your business. I have not done that. That's self-assessment. Also, have I done that? I have not cursed anyone, in thought, word, or deed. That's a big one. This is a spiritual practice because some people say, I didn't curse anyone with my words. I kept it to myself. I thought this stuff, but I didn't say it. You carry around these ideas about people in your brain that are dishonoring. And you think it's okay because no one sees it. Nobody hears it. You didn't actually say it. This is a call to a deeper experience. Step into another timeline. I have not cursed anyone in thought. Jesus even has a teaching that said, if you even think the thought. Y'all remember that scripture about adultery where the Pharisees and Sadducees were challenging Jesus about it? In fact, let me look it up. And some people want to make this about morality, but this is a concept of spiritual practice, of purifying your timeline, of purifying your inner world in such a way that even your thoughts line up with your intentions. Even your thoughts line up with your words. How many of you know that sometimes your words and your thoughts don't line up? You don't say what you're really thinking. And you find pleasure in that. But it's time to go deeper. Purify the thought too. So here's the scripture here. It's Matthew 5:28. Let's look it up. Y'all here? Does this make sense? Tap the screen. Tap yes. Let me know. And I want to see this full chapter here because y'all know I like to read the whole chapter in context. Yes, it's making sense. We're on a path today of initiation. The next version of you is sacred. This version of you is sacred. But in initiations, there are phases, there's steps and levels. We're going to the next step. This is for people who want to go to the next step. Greetings, Sage. My pleasure. So this is coming after Jesus has taught the Beatitudes, the Sermon on the Mount. And this is what it is said. Ye have heard it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery, meaning you shouldn't do the thing. But I say unto you, in other words, I'm taking you a step deeper because you've been on the surface. You've been managing your behavior. You didn't yell. Okay, great. You didn't curse. Okay, great. You didn't say the phrase. Okay, great. You didn't say what was on your mind in that moment. You're glad. Great. But I say unto you that whoever looketh on a woman to lust after her has committed adultery already with her in his own heart. This is not about adultery. This is about a principle. It's not just what you say. It's what you believe. It's what you entertain in your mind. So on the outside, you might be saying, I didn't say that. I didn't do that. But on the inside, you was thinking it. On the inside, you very much entertained it. It's time to go deeper. Can you hear this? Is this speaking to you? It's time to take another step forward into another initiation. Purify your inner world so that your words will be in alignment, so that your behavior will be in alignment, so your reactivity will be in alignment. We're talking about alignment. We're talking about balance. I have not cursed anyone in thought, word, or deeds. Now we have thought, word, and deeds here. Not just the deeds, not just the words. Okay, I'm reading from right here. I have not committed. And right now, what I want to focus on is self-assessment. Have I committed? Have I? Weigh your heart. Have I cursed anyone in thought, word, or deed? I have not exaggerated my words when speaking. I have not stolen what belongs to God or Goddess. I have not overstepped my boundaries. Okay. I have not cursed anyone in thought, word, or deed. I have not stolen from or disrespected the deceased. We know in Kemet that there was a sacredness to transition from this life to the next. I have not destroyed property belonging to God or Goddess. You are God and Goddess. I am God and Goddess. I have not taken food from a child. Maybe you haven't taken literal food from a child, but have you discouraged through your words a child? Have you spoken harshly to a child? Withheld nourishment? Emotional nourishment. You can shift these things. I have not been angry without reason. Let's assess this. Sometimes you feel angry simply because you don't like something. Sometimes you feel angry simply because someone differs in opinion. That is a sign that you need to reassess your belief systems. Right? You can have your own belief systems, but other people don't have to have them. I have not seduced anyone's wife. Seduced right here is giving the implication that you are manipulating. Okay, I have not manipulated. I have not closed my ears, to truth. Thank you, Golden. That's a big one. Can we pause right there? Take a deep inhale and exhale. I have not closed my ears to truth. I have not closed my ears to truth. That's a deep one. Sometimes you hear the truth and you know it's true because it resonates, it pricks. And you close your ears to it and still do the thing anyway. Thank you, Golden. Thank you so much. That's a deep one. It is. It is. I had to pause because every day I want to be ever open to universal truth. That's why I study these universal principles. That's why I apply them. Not just study, also apply. Not just study, also apply. I have not closed my ears to truth. That means when you hear truth and you know it's true, you know it in your bones, you breathe and you welcome it. That's when you've moved your ego out of the leadership position. I have not terrorized anyone. How do we terrorize people? I'll tell you. We do things to get under their skin, and we know we're doing it. We do things in passive aggressive ways, knowing that the person is getting the message. It may be a post. It may be a certain thing you're doing that is against what you know to be true for them. Simply because you want to be against, you feel, very emblazoned to do that. I have not disobeyed the law. What law? The law of humanity, the law of inner truth, the law that we're talking about here. I have not told lies. That's a deep one. Take a deep inhale and exhale. Sometimes you're lying to yourself and you don't even know it because you've been telling a lie for so long. Let me give you an example. So let's say you were in a relationship with a person and that person didn't do what you thought they should do. So you said to yourself, they didn't care about me. They never cared about me. They came to use me. Now, that's not true. But that's the thought that you've been thinking. They came to hurt me. Not only is it untrue, it's a disempowered thought. It's a thought that puts you in disempowerment. Rather than saying, I had this experience with this person and I didn't like it, I didn't enjoy it, and I never want to experience it again. As a result, I've shifted some ways that I was. Okay, there you go. Does that make sense? Did you hear that? I have not carried away food. Again, taking away from someone's nourishment simply because you're in your ego. That's what this all boils down to. I have not cursed. You needed that part, Ashe. Sometimes we become very attached to the ways that we've come to see things, and we don't want to let them go. But it's to our benefit to let it go. And what do I mean by let it go? Act like it didn't happen? Absolutely not. But shift the way we tell it, even to ourselves, because the way you tell a thing, even to yourself, matters. I have not polluted myself. Let's talk about frequency and vibration. You're hearing a conversation, or the conversation is within yourself. Because sometimes these conversations are happening within yourself, and you feel yourself taking yourself down to a lower vibration. You was happy, but then you had a fleeting thought, and you made it more than fleeting by dwelling on it. I have not polluted myself. Have I polluted myself? That's a good question. We could take this further, but I'm going to let you take it as far as you want to go. I have not committed adultery. In other words, that's just another way of taking what's not yours, right? I have not made anyone cry. Now, we know we can't make anyone do anything. So what is the essence of this? I haven't been deliberately hurtful. Sometimes people bring information to you and they think they're sharing so you can know the truth, but it's deliberately hurtful. Let that rest and self-assess. I have not felt sorrow without reason. In other words, I haven't been telling myself these stories, right, that create sorrow before understanding what is true. Yeah, you notice that, right? I have not felt sorrow without reason. And let me bring this home to you. How can we apply this? Sometimes you are assuming things about people and expecting things without actually saying what you expect. You're not talking about it. You're not asking for what you need. And so as a result, you enter the vibration of sorrow without a reason. Well, the reason is you, but without an outer reason. Have you noticed that? You expect someone to do something, but you don't ask them to do it. And so then when they don't deliver, you go into this energy, this vibration. Have you noticed that? You need to learn how to ask for what you expect. Make it known so that people can decide for themselves whether or not they can live up to it. And then don't lie to yourself if they say no. If they say no, they need to say no. Do you know that people need to say no to you? And you need to say no to people. Saying no is not an offense. Some people get really offended because you said no. Because you said that's not for me. Or I don't want to do that right now. They're offended. But they can say no, right? That's the balancing aspect. Sometimes that person is you. I have not assaulted anyone. That's with words. That's with your voice. It's with your intention mostly. Because you can say, for example, you can say the word good like this, good. Or you could say good. Or you could say good. That's an assault. Let me know if that made sense. And also, please do tap the screen. Let me know if that made sense. You could say good or good. Good. You could say good. Good. Well, good. That's an assault. Fine. Okay. Whatever. I want to know, does this make sense? Because I don't want to just be talking to myself. Intention is everything. And being honest about your intention. Because some people will say good to you and you'll question it and they'll say, I was just saying good. I was just, they can't be honest about their intention. You got to be honest about it. Yeah, I said that with some vehemence. I said that with the energy. Because I was feeling frustrated. Right. It's how you say it, but it's also why you say it too. Because the word good, I said good, and I could say good. But I could say good like that because I'm feeling jealous. It's what you say, how you say, and why, right? Some people are saying good things. They're saying, I'm happy for you. And they're saying it with excitement, but they're not happy. Sometimes that's been you. Think about that time where, something happened and you wanted to be happy. So you said the happy thing, but on the inside, you really weren't. That's a human experience, right? I have not worked evil. Evil is something underhanded where you're not being honest. Yeah. And self-awareness is so important with that intentionality because some people say they have good intention, but they're not being honest. Sometimes their intention isn't good, but they want to think that it's good, right? Weigh in your own heart. I have not used evil thoughts, words, or deeds. There we are again. It's taking it real deep. It's not just what you're saying or not saying, but it is what you're saying. You can feel it, yeah. It's not just your words. It's not just your actions. It's also the stuff that nobody sees. We're talking about integrity. I have not polluted the water. Again, We can bring this home to today. Have you shared some venomous thing out of the hardness of your heart, saying that you had the intention of just sharing? Can't count how many times I self-sabotage because I went against, we can't ignore our inner landscape. And what I mean by that is, I don't mean acting from it. I mean asking, what is this telling me about this person? What is this telling me about how I see this person? Because sometimes it's not the way the person is. Sometimes it's how you see the person that needs to be assessed, right? I have not spoken angrily or arrogantly. Deep inhale and exhale on that. I have not spoken angrily or arrogantly. I have not falsely accused anyone. Sometimes when you don't have enough information and you are in insecurity or fear, you accuse others of things that are not true. But this says, I have not falsely accused anyone. I have not placed myself on a pedestal. That speaks for itself. I've not acted with insolence. That's the arrogance, the egotistical reaction. We need our ego, but we're not needing to react from it unless you're actually in harm's way, okay? I am not deceitful. That stands alone. And I have not stolen anyone's land. I've not taken what isn't mine. We are here on this equinox period, this point of balance, allowing the 42 divine principles of Ma'at to assess. Nobody needs to assess you. You can assess yourself. And you don't need to assess others. You can allow them to assess themselves. And that is it. So I'm going to end this live pretty soon. You have opportunities to ask a question, add a comment. Did any of this hit home for you? You have an opportunity to tap the screen. I have a virtual yoga session at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time by Zoom. If you want to join, your camera is required, and you can send me a message to ask me for the link, and I'll get it to you. At 10 a.m., I'm having a group yoga session, virtual, and you'll need to send me a message if you want the link. And that is it. That is it. How's your heart after listening to this? How's your heart? How's your inspiration? Also, I have a Divine Utterance group. We started a brand new initiation yesterday. You can also join that as well if you want more assistance in purifying your heart, purifying your inner world. Confirmed, Ashe. Confirmed and inspired. And I hope you take this teaching and share it with others from a pure space of, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm focusing on. This is my spiritual practice, and I just want to share that with you in case you want to join. Right? We could sit around and have conversations about these. We can insert these conversations into our relationships and into the world around us. We can post about them. We can make videos about them. Right? You ever wanted content and don't know what to post? Here you go. Share divine truth. And that is it. Thank y'all so much for sharing with me this morning. If you're new here, greetings. Hello, my name is Coach Veronica Marie. Thank you, Miles, for the gift. On my lives, I enjoy the conversations. I enjoy your comments, even if it's just emojis. Just emojis matter because it's a way of showing that you're interested. It's a way of communicating with the algorithm that this is interesting and that people should um, come in and see. Okay. All right. So, y'all have a beautiful rest of your creation. If you want to attend yoga at 10 a.m., send me a request for the link and I'll get it to you. Just be in a space where you can put your camera on. Okay. And that is it. Have a beautiful existence.